Can't take you home with it. Super Nerd.
Sorry, team. I'm very lucky I knocked out your teammates there because it was getting pretty tight at the end.
It's been a delight. Join us again next time.
Jail terms and big fines to prevent a second virus wave in New South Wales. Tonight, penalties ready to go, but no checks at the airport. Thousands of visitors from Melbourne fly into Sydney and walk straight out the door. A high-speed chase ends in a crash at Rooty Hill, the driver arrested fleeing the scene. Sydney's toll mania, the Premier's slip-up as the new M8 to Liverpool is unveiled. Logo confusion, the replacement plans for the iconic Australia-made symbol. COVID sales slump, the Sydney suburbs holding their value as the city's real estate market takes a hit. And a rocky road for the NRL, a team stranded and players threatening to quit.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. We're being threatened with jail and heavy fines if we travel to Melbourne's coronavirus hotspots, then return to New South Wales and don't self-isolate. From midnight, Victorians from lockdown suburbs will also be banned from crossing our border. But tonight, no one is checking on passengers on Melbourne flights arriving at Sydney Airport.
Qantas Flight 462 arriving from Melbourne a short time ago. Are any of these people from Melbourne's COVID clusters? Who would know? Nobody asked them.
In Melbourne, were you asked about where you come from, what suburb you were from?
No.
In Sydney?
No. But I brought identification with me that shows my home address in Torquay.
Were you asked identification?
No.
Sure.
At a government media conference, leading by example.
Have you been to Melbourne in the last 2 weeks?
No, I haven't, no.
Great.
The topic inside.
Victoria.
The strategy is to keep Victorians there and prevent our citizens from visiting.
So the message to New South Wales residents is don't go to Victorian hotspots. Just don't go.
For those who do, 14 days quarantine, and if that is breached,
An $11,000 fine or a 6-month jail sentence.
14 new COVID detections here were all discovered in hotel quarantine. 0 community transmissions, but south of the border, 73 new infections.
It is challenging, heartbreaking, it's very, very difficult.
And the numbers are getting worse.
As of last night, we had knocked on some 54,000 doors.
That was across 10 postcodes forced back into lockdown.
Well, people should just stay home.
Some COVID clusters have streets with 2 postcodes. One side in lockdown while the other, residents can move freely.
Pretty sad knowing that a few metres away they can go off and do things that they want.
If I didn't shut down those postcodes, I'd be shutting down all postcodes.
Police in New South Wales will check the details of anyone crossing the border, but so much of this enforcement plan relies on goodwill, on people being honest. With restrictions easing here in New South Wales today, that includes diners who are reluctant to give their details to restaurants for contact tracing.
We've seen a lot of Donald Ducks and Mickey Mouses, and we don't actually care about that, but as long as some details are accurate.
Indoor venues hope to benefit from the 1 person per 4 square metre rule that, from today, allows no limit on customers.
This month, in June, we had a good business.
And that's because other restaurants had to close down around you?
Yeah, I must say that, yeah.
Harris Coffee is offering a $1 million rescue package for struggling clients.
85% of businesses are saying they will not be able to continue unless they get third-party support.
And while Bankstown RSL is grateful restrictions are easing until everything is lifted.
All hospitality is presently trading at about a quarter of their normal capacity.
Even with these changes?
Even with these changes.
Also from today, weekend sport resumes, cinemas are open and funerals have no limit provided the 4 square metre rule is enforced. Stadiums, racecourses and motor racing tracks can also use 1 in 4 seats to a maximum of 10,000 people. And public transport almost doubles in capacity, passengers impressed by social distancing.
And it was just refreshing to see that everyone else, I dare say, either consciously or subconsciously have done the same. Very, very good. So, no problem.
And let's go to Robert Ovadia at the airport now. Rob, why aren't COVID checks being carried out on Victorian travellers there?
Well, Mark, two little words, red tape. From what I understand, these public health orders will not actually come into effect until midnight tonight. So hopefully from tomorrow we'll start to see a bit more proactive policing, certainly at the border. From what I understand also, there was no policing today at the border, even though that is the plan going forward. And to be fair, this is an evolving situation where governments have to make policy on the run. At the same time, as much as this will come into effect at midnight today, we understand from a short time ago, 1,872 passengers came here from Melbourne and passed through Sydney Airport. Mark?
OK, Robert O'Vardy at Mascot, thank you. A driver is under police guard tonight after leading highway patrol officers on a pursuit through Western Sydney. He allegedly slammed into another driver and then fled again, trying to avoid arrest.
After an hour and a half on the run, the game was up. The 23-year-old taken into custody after running from this. The man was the driver of the silver Kia. He allegedly raced through the intersection, colliding with another car before spinning into the power pole. This is the give way sign he missed.
We heard this loud screeching noise. I went out and then we saw the car outside, and then I saw this guy running.
Earlier, police had stopped the Kia after it was clocked doing 89 in a 60 zone in Rooty Hill. Then, as the officer approached, he took off. Police say they were following the vehicle under lights and sirens, but lost sight of it a few streets before the crash. By the time officers arrived on scene, the 23-year-old driver was running away.
Unfortunately for that officer, the young gentleman had a fair couple of 100 metres on him.
As police inspected the vehicle, they got the call.
Our dogs were going bananas in the backyard. Police were coming from everywhere and they had this guy on the ground and they tackled him and they arrested him.
Police say cannabis was found in the car. It's understood the man was on parole, driving on a disqualified licence.
He just made a comment that he didn't want to go back to jail.
He was taken to hospital under police guard. The driver of the other vehicle suffered only minor injuries. Miley Hogan, 7 News.
The Premier has made a slip of the tongue, accidentally describing the opening of major new motorways in Sydney as toll mania. It came during a tour of the newest, the M8, which promises to save drivers time but not money.
4 years and $4.3 billion later, finally there's light at the end of the tunnel. Politicians test driving the new M8 motorway ahead of its official opening expected on Sunday.
As the Prime Minister Scott Morrison was here, he'd say, how good are tunnels?
The Premier left the door open to a toll-free period yesterday.
Oh, well, you'll have to wait for that.
But unlike today, there'll be no free ride.
There won't be a toll-free period on this road.
The journey between Beverly Hills and St Peters, $6.95 each way for cars, almost $21 for trucks. The same tolls added to the formerly free M5 East tunnels, which run alongside. Tolls also increasing on almost all other Sydney motorways today.
As Minister Constance put it a few days ago, what did you call it? A toll mania? What did you call it? Motorway mania.
A Labor attack video quickly seizing on the slip.
Toll mania, toll mania.
The Premier got one thing right today. It's toll mania this weekend.
Upon entering the tunnels, you can't help but be struck by how wide they are. The government calls it future-proofing, allowing for an extra lane to open in each direction as the population and traffic volumes grow.
We've now got the capacity to go to 10 lanes between the M5 and the M8 tunnels.
The immediate benefits, up to 30 minutes off a trip from Liverpool to the city. Congestion on the gridlocked M5 East almost halved.
For those who will use this tunnel every day, you'll get an hour of your life back.
Alex Hart, 7 News.
A class action lawsuit will be launched against Newmarch house operator Anglicare over the deaths of 19 residents from coronavirus. Families claim they've been forgotten. They want not just the truth about what happened, but for someone to be held accountable.
For Nicole Fay, scrolling through pictures of her grandmother Anne help ease the pain she still feels. Anne was 76 when coronavirus killed her.
This is a lady who was at full capacity.
One of 19 residents who died of the virus at Newmarch House. And Nicole, one of the many grieving relatives, still waiting for answers.
It's simply kind of been forgotten about, really, and that's not what we want. That can't happen.
Shine lawyers will now act on behalf of some of the families, pursuing a potential class action against Anglicare, the aged care home's operator. The firm alleges it was negligent in its handling of the crisis.
The families want answers and accountability for the loss of their relatives. There was a failure in their duty of care and people lost their lives, and it's very tragic.
Nicole Fay says the blame shouldn't fall solely on Newmarch House and says the government also has a lot of explaining to do and feels that a parliamentary inquiry is necessary.
What went wrong and how are you going to fix it? And who are you putting on the plate? Who's responsible?
The Aged Care and Quality and Safety Commission is actually looking into that issue, and I think will be able to give us better insight.
7 News contacted Anglicare. It declined to comment. Peter Fegan, 7 News.
A Western Sydney house was gutted by flames this morning. It took firefighters more than 2 hours to bring the blaze at Bligh Park under control. The fire was so intense it caused the roof to collapse, with thick smoke visible across surrounding suburbs. 2 people were inside but managed to escape unhurt. So did a number of pets. The cause of the fire is being investigated. 2 men have been charged over separate but equally dangerous drink driving crashes on our roads overnight. Police say one man was almost 3 times the legal limit when he left a trail of destruction in Sydney's southeast.
At the end of a bend on Beecham Road, the driver of this Toyota Land Cruiser fails to negotiate it.
I heard this big crash and it woke me and my sister up.
Smashing into 3 parked cars, the generator on the ute tray catapults across the road.
Just a big scrape, like glass shattering.
Residents say the 31-year-old was slumped over and slurring.
He seemed drunk, even to us from across the road.
Police allege he blew almost 3 times the legal limit.
Drivers make poor decisions once they're affected by alcohol. We continually reinforce this fact. They put other motorists' lives at risk.
Residents say this corner is notoriously dangerous and that this type of incident has happened a number of times before. Only on previous occasions, those drivers were sober. In Riverwood, around the same time, a car became stuck, nose down in a stormwater drain. The work of another suspected drunk driver. The 40-year-old was rescued by a resident who rushed out in his underpants.
I've taken him out and helped him, told him cops were coming, and he's legged it. So I ended up grabbing him and cops came and arrested him.
He returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.081 and has also been charged with mid-range drink driving.
Oh, if that's mid-range, I'd love to see what full range is.
Remarkably, neither man was injured. Tom Saker, 7 News.
Scott Morrison has given a bleak rundown of Australia's military threats, claiming our world is facing challenges not seen since Adolf Hitler. The federal government committing over $250 billion to a new defence strategy to counter the rise of enemies in our own backyard.
Dark times make the case for more muscle. The Prime Minister repeatedly likens today's threats to
when the global and regional order collapsed in the 1930s and 1940s.
History's deadliest conflict, World War II, now compounded by a pandemic.
A post-COVID world that is poorer, that is more dangerous, and that is more disorderly.
The PM's answer? Invest in stealthy American technology able to observe and hit enemies from hundreds of kilometres. It doesn't come cheap. 4 years ago, our decade-long defence spend was approaching $200 billion. Now, $270 billion. Wrong, says lead advisor to the Defence White Paper, Peter Jennings.
I think you could easily double that and we'd still be finding areas where more spending was required.
He says the real cost of the government's military wish list is near $500 billion. And it's overwhelmingly pointed one way.
It's all about China.
And that means defence will focus more on Australia's own region, even expanding radar surveillance to watch China's expansion south in the Pacific. Tim Lester, 7 News.
New South Wales homeowners are facing a steep new tax under proposed radical reform of federal-state tax arrangements. A draft report urges a broad-based land tax plus changes to the GST, fuel excise and payroll tax.
Everything going up 10%. How are we going to afford that?
It's 20 years today since the GST was born. And after 2 decades of being added to the bill, some say we need even more of it.
It's a good opportunity and we need to grab it.
A report warning the state government will struggle to afford essential services unless it overhauls what and how it taxes.
They should use the best lever they've got, which is land.
Among the report's 15 recommendations, replacing stamp duty with land tax, a national approach to state payroll tax, and increasing or broadening the GST.
A plan to hike the GST and charge it on everything.
And with COVID, critics say the timing couldn't be worse.
We're all about lowering the tax burden on families, driving economic growth.
With falling fuel taxes, a levy on electric cars is suggested to pay for roads. And for all motor vehicles, another tax. The report recommends trialling a congestion cordon around Sydney CBD, charging drivers to enter. Not just tax reform, as part of COVID recovery, the state government has launched a new flying squad to fast-track planning.
A little bit of banging heads, but a lot more negotiation and getting together in the room.
Including residential development around metro stations. Chris Marr, 7 News.
America's top virus expert has delivered a very grim warning. The US is on track to more than double daily coronavirus cases, hitting 100,000 new infections every 24 hours. Dr. Anthony Fauci says they're going backwards, but his pleas continue to be ignored.
With infections on the rise in 36 states, today politicians were warned the virus is out of control.
We are now having 40+ thousand new cases a day. I would not be surprised if we go up to 100,000 a day if this does not turn around.
States are winding back freedoms, concerned about 4th of July crowds. But in Texas, bar owners are fighting the order to close down.
Come and get it!
Donald Trump tweeting, "As I watch the pandemic spread its ugly face, I become more and more angry at China." Rival Joe Biden blasting the president's handling of the crisis.
Fix the shortage of PPE for our healthcare workers before you tee off another round of golf. It's almost July, and it seems like our wartime president has surrendered.
And despite growing appeals,
please, 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 wear a face covering when you go out in public.
You have a right in America not to wear a mask.
Defiance continues.
Well, you gotta wear a mask, bruh.
A man shoving his way into a store without one. An argument over social distancing in a steakhouse turns into this. The fight against the virus has a long way to go. In the United States, Paul Carjacker, 7 News.
The iconic logo that sold Australia to the world for more than 3 decades is being pushed aside by a new brand developed by a panel of business leaders. The Made in Australia kangaroo will still be used, but the government also wants to push a wattle-themed logo.
The success or failure of a logo can be decided in seconds. You ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
No, that doesn't represent Australia.
I just think the other one is more like symbolises Australia.
Fancier, yeah. It doesn't really scream Australia though.
Here it is, the product of 2 years and $10 million, the new Australian-made logo, set to join the image the world has known since 1986.
We're absolutely backing the Australian-made kangaroo logo. What we're also trying to do is ensure we have some consistent colours, consistent design.
The government has already approved the new logo, primarily for trade shows and promoting services, education and science.
It should symbolise something about Australia, and I guess that one probably doesn't really get it right away in the same way that a kangaroo does.
The logo was approved by the Nation Brand Advisory Council, featuring Qantas CEO Alan Joyce, tech billionaire Mike Cannon-Brookes and mining magnate Andrew Forrest. The letters AU are causing some consternation. This logo replaces the little-known Australia Unlimited logo. AU is also the chemical symbol for gold, which sometimes is found in the fool's variety.
It looks a bit like COVID to me.
The virus-like logo was approved before the pandemic hit. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Time now for a check on our weather. Brownie, a warmer day than expected.
Yes, just a degree or two, Fergo. A touch warmer tomorrow, but the wind is on the way up as well. As we look at current conditions, you'll notice it's sitting on 17 degrees, but it feels like 14 degrees in the wind. As we go to the coast, smooth seas in Cronulla this afternoon. The water temperature, by the way, at the moment is hovering around 19 degrees. For the state, we had some isolated showers just passing over the southwest slopes and also the southern ranges. Snow flurries on the Alpine Peak. It's been dry elsewhere, but tomorrow we should see an increase in snow activities. This cold front just slips across the region, and closer to home the same front is expected to do this. Forecast rather windy weather over our part of the world from late morning till around about mid-afternoon. Then the wind should eventually drop out, and of course I'll have local forecasts in detail top of the hour. Fergo.
OK, David, thank you. A truck driver has been cut from the wreckage of his cab after a crash on the Hume Highway near Campbelltown. Next, how two rigs collided, causing major traffic delays, but remarkably only minor injuries. Also, why a Sydney teacher says he deliberately drove at students. An incredible rescue as a van bursts into flames on a busy highway. Later, the Sydney suburbs hit hardest by the COVID sales slump, but it's not all bad news. And in sport, the West Tigers set the record straight on Benji Marshall's playing future.
This is no regular 13-year-old.
We're getting goosebumps. Couldn't take my eyes off you.
It's the night a new generation of talent shines.
You blew the roof up.
And the song.
It is insanely good.
That'll have the world up and dancing.
I think you might be one of the best singers we've ever had.
New America's Got Talent. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt excellence. By the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
The Snooze End of Financial Year sale is now on. Support your local business and save up to 50% off Australian-made mattresses. Plus, enjoy great savings on customisable Australian-made bedroom furniture. Hurry, sale ends Sunday.
What a little snooze can do.
Head to Macca's if a little treat is what you need and get 6 of our new delicious donut balls for just $3 or 18 chicken McNuggets and 2 large fries for $9.95.
Getting back on the road is something we're all looking forward to. And at Toyota, we're here to help you do just that.
Get Kluger 2-wheel drive GX from $41,990 drive away. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
For pain relief, choose Maxigesic from your local Terry White Chemmart. Maxigesic is a unique patented combination of paracetamol and ibuprofen that provides fast and effective double-action relief from a wide range of pain. Right now at Terry White Chemmart, Maxigesic paracetamol plus ibuprofen 12 tablets are just $3.99. Maxigesics powerful pain relief and your local Terry White Chemmart. That's real chemistry.
On one hand, using mobile data and internet reduces Australia's carbon footprint by reducing travel and making business more efficient. But their use also creates CO2, and your carbon thumbprint may be something you have never even considered. Well, there is a solution.
It's a clean-up in aisle goal. Bluey McDonald with 32 items in the Forgotta grocery bag lifting.
He's brought home the chockies with the milk, the bread, the bog roll, and saved himself 45 cents.
That Make It Look Easy moment was brought to you by Sportsbet's NRL Same Game Multi. Combine your favourite markets, like South to win, into both Latrell and Tedesco to score, and you'll get bigger odds. NRL Same Game Multi from Sportsbet.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Some breaking news now, and a young man's handed himself into police over a violent knife fight in Western Sydney on Saturday night. The brawl, involving up to 20 people, broke out at a shopping strip in Auburn. 4 boys were taken to Westmead Hospital with stab wounds. The 20-year-old walked into Auburn Police Station late this afternoon. He was refused bail and will face court tomorrow. It was a very slow commute in Sydney's southwest this morning after two trucks collided on the Hume motorway. One of the drivers was airlifted to hospital after being trapped in the mangled cab of his semi-trailer at Mount Annan. Northbound lanes were closed for 2 hours as crews worked to clear the wreckage. A former high school teacher in Sydney southwest has told a court he thought it was funny when he drove his car towards his students in the playground. Michael Arico was slapped with a good behaviour bond and apologised for his immature and reckless actions.
Punctual to court, former teacher Michael Arico waits patiently for his sentencing.
Are you worried about going to jail?
The 30-year-old Human Society teacher drove his car onto the basketball courts of Cabramatta High School on the final day of term last year. He deliberately aimed towards students, even did laps around them. Some were left traumatised and needed counselling. Today, Liverpool court heard Mr Arico thought he was being funny and meant no harm. What this was a misconceived attempt at humour. It was the last day of school. He thought they'd find it funny. The magistrate told him while no one was injured, his actions were foolish, irresponsible and immature. You can't indulge in behaviour that is similar to what a 17 or 18-year-old would have done.
Michael, would you like to say anything? Would you like to say sorry?
Sidestep.
Can you understand why kids might not have found it funny? Mr Arico worked at this school for 7 years, but it's unlikely he'll ever teach again. He's no longer allowed to talk to the students or the teachers here, but he apologised to them in court through his lawyer. Are you relieved that he's not going to jail?
Yeah, I think it was a great result.
Mr Arico was slapped with a 2-year good behaviour bond, but escaped a conviction. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
In more breaking news, fresh protests are underway in Hong Kong tonight. Walls of police are using batons, tear gas and water cannon in the first protest since China introduced sweeping new security laws. The legislation makes undermining authority a crime punishable with a life sentence. At least 30 arrests have been made so far. Crowds are chanting Hong Kong independence. A highway camera has caught an astonishing rescue in China after this minivan flipped and caught fire. A passing driver raced to the scene and kicked in the windscreen. Remarkably, 3 people escaped through the smashed glass and ran from the scene before fire crews arrived. Police say a broken transmission shaft caused the crash. Ringo Starr is staging a reunion with one Beatle at least, announcing he'll join forces with Paul McCartney to celebrate his 80th birthday. They'll perform Ringo's big birthday show from home instead of the big celebration he was planning.
We had big plans about, all my kids coming from England, the grandkids, all my pals. We're going to have like this huge thing.
The show will be live streamed on July the 7th and will include musicians Sheryl Crow and Ben Harper, plus previously unseen video from Beatles concerts. Proceeds will go to charity. It was a violent drug-fuelled carjacking that ended in a serious crash in Sydney South. Next, how long the 26-year-old offender will spend behind bars. Also, dangerous driving caught on camera in the Harbour Tunnel during the morning peak. Eye in the sky, which 5 of our beaches will have new shark spotting drones this summer. And Dad saves the day after his young daughter gets stuck in a vending machine. That's next.
It's just very lonely out here and I'm looking for someone to share these flies with.
Never expected to have feelings for someone so quickly.
My heart has pounded faster and harder than it ever has in my life.
I definitely am starting to fall for Harry.
It's harder and harder. Hey, I'm in a bloody pickle, mate.
Will Farmer Harry find the love of his life?
Never know, she might be the one.
New Farmer Wants a Wife, this July on 7.
Hi everyone, Courtney Ralston here. Now the same question comes up day after day in our house, and that's what's for dinner? Now it can be tricky thinking of new recipes, but Coles has you sorted with over 80 quick and easy dinner ideas to choose from. Over the next few weeks, every Wednesday night, I'm going to bring you one of the feature What's for Dinner recipes. These recipes are 5 ingredients or less and ready in under 30 minutes. On tonight's menu is Cheats Chickpea Korma Curry, so let's get cooking. I'm starting with a bag of the Coles roasting vegetables. So they're already cut up and I've got a great mixture in here. Carrots, sweet potato, onions and zucchini. So I'm just gonna roughly cut up the vegetables. These can all go into my pan that's on a medium heat. Just season that with a touch of salt. I can now go in with our chickpeas. So this is a 400-gram can of chickpeas and I've just drained them. To make a curry from scratch, you could need over 12, 15 ingredients. It can take a long time. If you want to get dinner on the table really quickly without any stress, you can grab one of these. So this has already just got spices, coconuts and cashews in there. I'm just going to pour our korma simmer sauce over our veg and chickpeas and just give that a toss around. Alright, just to keep our curry nice and wet as it's cooking, I'm going in with half a cup of water. While that curry's been blipping away, I've just heated up a couple of bags of the Coles Basmati microwave rice. Done in a flash, really simple and ready to go with our curry. So our veggies are nice and tender in the curry, our rice is nice and hot and ready to go. It's time to plate some of this up. Alright, so I've got my piping hot Basmati rice, our korma curry that's been blipping away over here. Alright, look at that, loaded with vegetables, soft chickpeas. Alright, and I've just got some coriander to go over the top. Something nice and fresh just to garnish it up. The Cheats Chickpea Korma Curry. Soft, fluffy rice, beautiful tender veggies in that really nice mild curry sauce. Coles have also made meal planning for the week really easy. Pick up a copy of the July Coles magazine for a month's worth of delicious and simple recipe inspiration. For this recipe and many more, visit coles.com.au. or sign up to the Coles digital catalogue for new recipes every week. Now that is a curry in a hurry.
Welcome back. A violent Sydney carjacker who left his victim in a coma has been jailed for up to 6 years. He was high on drugs and had just escaped hospital when he subjected the woman to the frightening ordeal.
She's the epitome of a survivor. Denise Kritikakis was alone when she was targeted, but had the support of many when seeing the man behind it. The injuries sustained were significant. It was a vicious, ferocious attack, the judge said. Sonny Attard was high on amphetamines. I started hearing a lot of stuff. They were telling me to kill myself, he told the court. I ended up walking around the city for 14 hours at least. He was admitted to St George Hospital, but escaped dressed only in a gown. The 26-year-old ran to a nearby block of units where he confronted Miss Kritikakis. He threatened to kill her if she didn't drive him to Maroubra. I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. It was never meant to happen, he stressed to her in court. Attard soon wanted her out of the car, so he punched her repeatedly in the face and clobbered her on the head using a multi-purpose knife. Miss Kritikakis managed to escape when the car stopped. She collapsed, needing 24 stitches and was in a coma for 3 days. Sonny Attard has a lengthy criminal history, jailed over a dozen times for AVOs, assault, break-and-enters and resisting arrest. But he told the court he's now a changed man and he's ready to turn his life around. He'll have time, at least the next 4 years, in jail. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
Concerning video shows a man driving dangerously in the Harbour Tunnel just before 7 on Monday morning. The ute can be seen swerving between lanes and crashing into the tunnel walls. Witnesses say, given it was during the morning peak, it's lucky no one was seriously hurt. Police are looking into the behaviour, with reports the same driver then went the wrong way over the bridge. 5 Sydney beaches are among dozens of locations along the state's coast which will have drone patrols to try to stop shark attacks. Authorities say, along with drum lines, they're the most effective way of protecting swimmers.
An eye in the sky hones in on an underwater predator, singling out its exact location and automatically detecting not just its size, but also the type.
Drones is the future. They can spot sharks in the water, we can get people out straight away, and it just saves lives.
Now the state government is increasing the number of drones, part of an $8 million investment. 34 beaches will now have drones hovering above, from South Kingscliff in the north to Pambula in the south. In Sydney, they'll be flying above Palm Beach, Dee Why, Tamarama, Maroubra and Wanda. These measures come after 2 years of trials and 5 years of what the state government says is world-leading research, combining drones in the sky with drum lines in the water, the most effective way to keep beachgoers safe. 35 drum lines are in place along the north coast, along with the largest shark tagging program in the world. Not that the shark always likes it, but it's the drones which can move swiftly, already proving their worth during trials.
Multiple occasions where our pilots have spotted these creatures swimming nearby swimmers or surfers. They've been able to activate the alarms, evacuate the beaches. It has really been a lifesaver.
Nina Stevens, 7 News.
With predictions another 1 million people will lose their jobs during Britain's virus-induced recession, Boris Johnson is hoping to build his way to recovery. But COVID-19 isn't going away, with that reality really biting in one English city.
Boris the Builder.
I wash my hands on the way in.
As the B word that has dominated British politics, Brexit, is replaced with a new catch cry.
We will build, build, build. Build back better, build back greener, build back faster.
Boris Johnson's Conservatives ditching small government, promising to spend $9 billion to get Britain out of recession, modelling the recovery on Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal in the US. Some are sceptical.
But there's not much that's new, and it's not much of a deal.
Just an hour's drive from the Prime Minister, the pandemic is still real. Leicester is sent back into lockdown.
It's depressing. Deflated. All looking forward to opening Saturday.
Nightmare.
Devastated, a little frustrated.
The infection rate here is 3 times that of other similar cities. Britain's road to recovery will be rocky, whether it's overcoming the pandemic or the recession, with thousands more jobs axed. Holiday airline EasyJet and plane manufacturer Airbus are both laying off workers, as the airline industry in Europe shows little sign of recovery. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
A skill tester machine can be frustrating at the best of times, but one Queensland father has been left fuming after his daughter spent nearly an hour with her arm stuck in one. He says the key to the machine couldn't be found and the service number displayed on it wasn't being answered.
Paramedics checked her out and she was all fine after, no injuries, but just obviously a very distressing situation.
He's calling for improvements to prevent another child becoming stuck. Aussie researchers have developed a fast new test to identify a range of diseases within minutes. Next, how the device could prove a game changer in the fight against infection. Also, is this the state's biggest property rip-off? The tiny laneway for sale with an eye-watering price. Sydney's best and worst performing suburbs as COVID hits property prices.
Soon in sport, why the West Tigers are wild about Harry, and does Benji Marshall have a future at the club?
Dry and sunny for the first day of July, windy tomorrow. Local forecast soon.
Police officers, come open the door!
Real drama.
You've got 10 seconds.
Unfolding minute by minute. The groundbreaking new era of real police drama.
Game on.
New Police Hour of Duty, tonight on 7.
The Rebel sale is on. Save 25% on a huge range of men's, women's and kids' fleece. And take up to 50% off a huge range of footwear. Loads more deals. Shop in store and at rebelsport.com. The Rebel sale is on. Sport is calling.
Look around. As the favourites come out, it begins. Observing with an eagle eye. Mastering the art of stashing. Oh, brilliant move, Grant. Cadbury favourites. Everyone gets their favourites.
Hey, guess what? Powerball has jackpotted to $50 million. Get your crew together and play. Come on.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
Okay, long black for Dave, skinny latte for Dave, hot chockey for Dave, and cappuccino for David. Who's David?
From $1 each, shout the team at 7-Eleven.
So do I pay tax on JobKeeper?
I'm working from home. What can I claim?
We've all got tax questions this year. Thankfully, at H&R Block, we have the answers.
Let's get you started.
Maximise your tax refund. Book an appointment today.
Australia's favourite toy sale is back.
They'll be lining up for chores with big brands like Lego, Barbie and Bluey. Toy Mania ends July 15. Big W. Every day is a big day.
You bring me joy. You bring me joy. You take away the pain with your loving ways, which by the way I love. Ooh, 'cause every time I see you, you remind me just the reason you bring me joy. You bring me joy.
7 News, back in under 30 seconds, thanks to Cisco WebEx. When the world needs to work securely, the world works on WebEx.
Between wisdom and curiosity, there's a bridge. Between ideas and inspiration, trauma and treatment.
I gained a couple of more kilos.
Yeah, that's good for the baby.
Between the moments that make us who we are and keeping them safe, private and secure, there's WebEx.
The ASX 200 closed on the first day of the new financial year in positive territory. Banks were among the strong performers, while some travel stocks also climbed higher. Webjet up 7.5%. And the Aussie dollar is stronger, buying just under 70 US cents. Petrol prices are on the downward part of the cycle, averaging around $1.15 a litre, much cheaper in Curl at $1.5.7 and less than $1.03 in Padstow. The Australian War Memorial has reopened 3 months after it was forced to close due to the pandemic. Visitors now need to book ahead with limits on the number of people allowed inside.
We would typically have, well over 1,000 people passing through on any given day. We'll be, I think, capping that number at we can get about 800 through.
The daily last post ceremony will also resume. This may be the state's biggest real estate rip-off. A tiny laneway in Coffs Harbour could be yours for an eye-watering $69,000. It's not clear what the 2.69 metre wide by 50.3 metre long block could possibly be used for. The real estate ad simply suggests potential buyers use their imagination. Australian researchers have developed a breakthrough test that can diagnose infections like coronavirus within minutes. They're now calling for government funding to begin clinical trials. They say the device will save lives.
Paul Omond has fought a long battle with leukemia. With his immune system weakened, he often contracted infections and cancer treatment was put on hold until test results arrived.
Months that I wouldn't have spent in not just the ward but ICU, which is a very expensive place for a healthcare system.
A new device will hopefully change that, able to detect infections like colds, flu or even COVID-19 in just 15 minutes. It's also cheaper and easier to administer than existing tests.
This is pretty much a game changer in terms of being able to diagnose infections this quickly means that we're able to give people the therapy that they need.
The device will also be able to quickly detect pneumonia, golden staph, tuberculosis, meningococcal disease, even Ebola. It could still be up to 2 years before the test is commercially available. Researchers need federal government funding so they can undertake clinical trials.
The economic value over and above the lives that we hope to save is actually really significant.
In a future health crisis, the tests would be invaluable.
That would mean we could quicker respond if a new pandemic comes in.
Louisa Cheatley, 7 News.
Sydney's housing market has copped a big hit from COVID-19. Just how bad are the declines and which suburbs are worst affected? The pandemic's impact on property prices revealed. What it means for your home? Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport. Mel, COVID-19 is causing huge dramas for the NRL.
Yeah, it is, Fergo. Again, the Storm could be forced to base themselves away from Victoria for the entire season. Details up next. Plus, an ultimatum from the Warriors as players threaten to walk away from the competition. And Cristiano Ronaldo does his best to spoil Messi's party, the superstar joining an elite 700 club overnight.
Peter Falconio was shot by a gunman who attempted to abduct his girlfriend Joanne Lees.
They found the killer.
He was the murderer.
Or did they? The murder you thought was solved.
34 inconsistencies.
It's what you don't know that will shock the world.
No one doubts me.
I couldn't believe this had never seen the light of day.
The event that will make world headlines.
We are going to be very unpopular.
Murder in the Outback this July on 7.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
What could be easier than over 80 Coles quick and simple dinner ideas? Smells so good. All made with 5 ingredients or less and ready in 30 minutes or less. That really looks yummy. There's a meal for everyone.
This is good.
Oh, it's fabulous. Like our Cheats chickpea korma curry, just $4 per serve. Discover all the recipes at coles.com.au. What's for dinner? I love it. Good things, great value at Coles.
Why join Bupa? Because you'll get 6 weeks free on eligible products. That's 6 weeks free, because right now every saving counts. Bupa, because life happens. T's and C's apply. Call now to find out more.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
At APR, we're all about possibilities. So however you live, our flexible home insurance lets you pay by the month at no extra cost. APR, get set, go. Call 13 50 50.
At Terry White Chemmart, we're here to help this winter. That's why pharmacists like Bridget are trained to administer flu vaccinations right here in store. Book now. Walk-ins also available. Terry White Chemmart. Now that's real chemistry.
There's pet stores, then there's Pet Barn. Our team of over 4,000 know everything there is to know about pets. We're experts in dog grooming and have over 800 Green Cross vets and specialists across the country. But what we're most proud of is the $13 million we've donated and the 50,000 pets we've adopted into new homes. It's what makes Pet Barn more than just a pet store. Shop now with our same-day delivery and price match promise.
Right now, most Australians are using their home internet in more ways than ever, and in more places than ever. Wi-Fi signals get weaker the further you are from your modem. So if you find yourself needing internet in the far corners of your home, you might benefit from a Wi-Fi extender to boost your signal and improve your experience. For more home internet help, visit nbn.com.au/optimise.
This sport report brought to you by TAB. Long may we play.
Welcome back. The NRL is dealing with COVID-19 induced headaches on multiple fronts tonight. The Storm have been told they could be based on the Sunshine Coast for the next 4 months due to the virus spike in Victoria.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're here for the rest of the season, to be quite honest. But it depends on what happens down in Melbourne.
And the Warriors have issued an ultimatum: get families over here soon or we'll allow homesick players to quit the season.
Basically told them to get it sorted, and if they didn't get any clarity or give our lads a definite answer, then they will be able to go home.
If the NRL cannot get clearance for families to travel by July 21, at least 3 players will head back to New Zealand. West Tigers champion Benji Marshall has dismissed speculation he's eyeing a mid-season switch to a rival club. The 35-year-old is promising to fight his way back into a Tiger side that's starting to show the uncompromising toughness demanded by Michael Maguire.
Michael Maguire has called for the rollercoaster ride at the West Tigers to grind to a halt.
Imagine, us as a playing group are sick of this club. I guess losing every second match and winning it every now and then.
He's refused to back away from making the big calls, leaving veteran Benji Marshall out of the side for a 4th straight week.
Everybody knows that anyone can get dropped. Madge is a very fair coach, and there's consequences for not performing to our standards.
I feel like no one's safe here. You've got to go out there and do your job.
Marshall's determined to steer his career back on course, surprised by any talk of him wanting out of the club.
It just shows what he's like as a person. Being around the boys again, it's really a real boost for us.
After back-to-back wins for the first time this season, a real test of character awaits with the top-of-the-table Panthers.
We've got a few targets there, but I'll see about that. But obviously, Cleary's Origin half. He's great player. We just got to try and, I guess put him on the ground.
The one-off player swap with the Storm has been a revelation. The Tigers say 22-year-old Harry Grant's a keeper.
And also defensively, he's sound and he's from the Melbourne system, so he understands the game really well.
There's every chance Grant could remain here at the West Tigers beyond his current loan period. There's a special clause in his current contract with the Melbourne Storm.
Once the season comes to an end, we'll start getting into him a bit more.
I'm sure the West Tigers club and the West Tigers fans will love him to stay.
Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
Well, it was a night to forget for Socceroos keeper Matty Ryan in the Premier League. Ryan's Brighton were thrashed 3-0 by a resurgent Manchester United at home this morning. Bruno Fernandes bagged a double and there was nothing Ryan could do to prevent his second.
Are they going to make them pay for this? You bet they are. Fernandes again. He doesn't miss them, does he?
Ryan's late heroics stopped the scoreline from blowing out even further, though. The win keeps United in top 4 contention. Pele, Puskás and Cristiano Ronaldo, who went 2-1 win for reigning champions Juventus over Genoa. Opal star Liz Cambage has called for the Indigenous flag to be permanently displayed on the national uniform. The Aussie women's team decided last month to boycott training until Basketball Australia showed support for the Black Lives Matter movement. Today, the governing body launched a campaign to fight racial inequality.
Our beautiful country does have a dark past, and I think it's time, well and truly time, that we step up and we teach the proper history. If we really want to respect this country, we need to see the Indigenous flag on our uniforms.
Cambage says she is thrilled to see progress being made. And it's a case of another day, another social media spat for Nick Kyrgios. German legend Boris Becker started the latest war of words. He labelled Kyrgios a rat for his savage criticism of Alex Zverev, who was filmed out partying instead of following COVID-19 isolation protocols. The Aussie star responded the only way he knows how, and that was brutally. Kyrgios called the 6-time Grand Slam winner a donut, and obviously not the sharpest tool in the shed. As usual, Fergo, Kyrgios, he doesn't miss, does he? Donut, not the sharpest tool.
Good to see him keeping social during these uncertain times.
Yeah, he might have a point.
He might have a point. Good on you, Mel. Sydney's housing market has been hit hard by COVID-19, and for the first time, we can reveal which suburbs have suffered the most. An extensive new study shows a widespread drop across the market, as many predicted, but there are some surprises.
For the second month in a row, the Sydney property market is on the slide. Values across the city slumping 0.8%.
So that decline, while mild to date, is starting to accelerate.
The immediate outlook is more negative than what it is positive.
Scattered across the city, dwelling value declines in the last quarter. The worst performing North Sydney and Hornsby down 2.2%, while Ryde recorded a 2.1% drop. But sellers like here at Bird Street Ryde are undeterred, with buyers still on the lookout.
We've had excellent attendances at open homes, up to 16, 25 groups through some properties. Last weekend I had an auction in Ryde where we had 10 registered bidders.
Rents down 0.8% as well.
That means that for tenants, they're more likely to secure a cheaper lease.
Just what happens in the property market over the next few months very much depends on the situation with COVID-19. A second wave here, like we've seen in Victoria, experts warn could have a significant impact.
In a worst case scenario where we see the economy locked down again, that would be very bad news.
The September deadline for JobKeeper also looming on the horizon. Cameron Price, 7 News.
Now to some extreme gardening. Scientists have revived a 32,000-year-old plant now blooming in an Austrian lab. A Russian team discovered some frozen seeds years ago and extracted tissue beneath them to successfully germinate the plants.
Our Russian colleagues were, let's say, successful in regenerating the plants or even to calling it back to life.
They're now working to map the plant's genes to unlock the secret of how it stayed viable for so long. David is back now. Brownie, it was very nice in the sun today.
Oh, indeed, Fergo. Yes, the Harbour City turned it on. Windy at times tomorrow. Your forecast after the break.
Hello, Sydney. I'm Michael Usher. Here's what's coming up tonight on the latest from 7 News. Threats of fines and jail time, exactly what happens if residents from Victoria's hotspots cross state borders. And Super Wednesday, how every Australian can get their hands on an extra $10,000 cash, but it comes with a warning. Hope you can join me tonight. The latest from 7 News at 10:20.
He knows them and they know him. What's he hiding that would make him do this?
No, stop! Stop! Grace! Stop! Grace! Stop!
I just left her for a few seconds, then she was gone. Why would they do this?
Home and Away, next up on 7.
Back yourself this NRL season with Ladbrokes. Score more value when you place a bet on the NRL with Ladbrokes and get $2 lines for every team in all games this round.
Ladbrokes. Back yourself.
At Harvey Norman, stay connected, productive and secure with Windows 10. You can count on Windows 10 wherever you are. Fast and powerful, this HP Pavilion laptop features the latest 10th Gen i5 processor. Now, $888, you save $200. Weighing less than 1 kilo, this Asus Swift 5 laptop features built-in security with Windows Hello to keep you protected. Now, just $1,498. That's a saving of $900. Stay connected, productive and secure with Windows 10. Now at Harvey Norman.
Go!
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their home. And now, Light and Easy is also giving every customer 10 chances to win $10,000. If you or someone close to you could benefit from improved health and financial well-being, visit lightandeasy.com.au today.
Advocate protects against more parasites than any other treatment. So your pet is free to dream. Advocate, so everyone can rest easy.
Get AHM Extras cover from only $2.90 a week. It's that easy. So you can get back to doing whatever it is you like to do. Even that. Find out more and join AHM Direct today. AHM, the simple bit.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Australia's favourite toy sale is back. They'll be lining up for chores with big brands like Lego, Barbie and Bluey. Toy Mania ends July 15. Big W. Every day is a big day.
Right now, at Cbus, we're building a new future for all of us. By building new projects in property, investing in infrastructure, and putting millions into Australian businesses, we're not only helping to create jobs, we're strengthening the economy. And with a history of strong, long-term performance, we're building a better, more secure future for all of us.
Introducing Switch from Ladbrokes. Switch gives you the power to pick your promotion, giving you more of what you want. Make the switch at Ladbrokes today.
Ladbrokes. Back yourself.
7 News Golden Ticket School Holiday Giveaway. Now it's your chance to win family passes to Bridge Climb and Scenic World at Katoomba and a visit to the new Sydney Zoo. Over $1,200 in value. Go to our website 7news.com.au/family and enter the code word on the screen.
Tonight's 7 News headlines: heavy fines and jail time on the cards for New South Wales residents who visit Melbourne's coronavirus hotspots, then return without self-isolating. A driver is under guard after a police chase in Western Sydney ended in a crash. The Premier has made a slip of the tongue describing the opening of major new motorways in Sydney as toll mania. And the iconic Made in Australia symbol is being sidelined to make way for a new stylised golden wattle design. Now with the latest on our weather, here's David.
Thanks very much, Fergo. Cold and clear this evening. More sunshine on the way tomorrow. Now, after a low of 8.3 degrees, the mercury soared to 22.5. That was around mid-afternoon. And by the way, that's 6 degrees on the warm side of normal. As we go into the suburbs, you'll notice low to mid-20s were the order of the afternoon, although light frosts were reported in both Camden and Richmond this morning, where the mercury dipped down to around 2 degrees. As we go to the satellite, atmospheric pressure is now falling across our state. Yes, there is a change on the way. In fact, it's sparking some storms through western parts of Victoria at the moment. In response to that, we'll see strengthening northerly winds develop tomorrow. In fact, I think we'll see some damaging winds develop across the high country of the Snowy Mountains. So, yes, squalls in excess of 90-odd kilometres per hour are possible. The front itself will also bring some rain, as we can see, to the southern ranges and also the adjoining western slopes. The wind eventually tending westerly in the wake of that front and moderating. Now, snow is in the forecast as well. It should fall across our alpine region tomorrow. There's not a lot, though. At this stage, we're expecting up to around about 15 centimetres. But around the nation, warm and clear conditions are expected again right across the northern half of the country. For Brisbane, it's sunny and around 24. For Melbourne, it's cold and showery, some hail from time to time, and around 14 degrees. For us, a strong wind warning covers southern coastal waters tomorrow. It'll be a fine and generally sunny day for most of the state, apart from those scattered showers just ripping through the southern ranges and the adjoining southwest slopes. As I mentioned earlier, just a little bit of snow falling across the alpine region above 1,200 metres. Closer in, dry and clear tomorrow, although becoming windy from late morning. That northerly pushing temperatures generally up around to the low to mid-20s, and it's expected to average around 15 to 25 knots over our coastal waters ahead of a westerly change coming through later, and of course that westerly will drop out. For the city, remaining dry. There's our forecast high, 23 degrees. Can you believe it? From windy, though, from late morning into the early, middle part of the afternoon. Quick look now at that 7-day forecast. Yes, time's against us. Dry on Friday, somewhat cooler, cold on Saturday and clear, but dry. That's the weather word all the way through, Fergo.
Good on you, Brandy. Looking very good. Thank you. That is 7 News for this Wednesday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.